All right, and staying right on the money, we go to Stephen Cates, analyst with Bank Rate Insurance. Stephen, good morning to you. Thanks for being here with us on social media. We really appreciate it. So go ahead and walk us through it. What's it been like for your company in the last 48, 72 hours? I'm sure you're getting flooded with phone calls.
We are, unfortunately, with so much going on across the country with unexpected wintry weather and disasters, we are getting a lot of requests to talk about, how auto insurance, really can be handled in circumstances like this.
Okay, and so that brings me to my next question. What do you do? Something terribly wrong happens. Unfortunately, a lot of people had pipes burst here in Houston. What's the first thing you do? I know in the last story we talked about it, but I want to hear it from you. What's the first thing you do?
Absolutely. So I think the number one thing that you want to do, and this goes for really any weather disaster or any other natural disaster, is you want to put safety first. And so if your home is not safe to be in, you need to find or try to find a better place for you and your loved ones, because heavy snow on your roof, burst pipes can be a danger. And so number one, think about safety. But number two, you need to document, as you said, document. Take pictures, videos, write down notes, log the hours and when everything has taken place, when you first saw a leak, when you first saw an issue. That is going to help you later on when the claim process begins. You don't want to depend on your own memory. You want to have hard evidence that you can refer to take care of all the little details.
And for a lot of people, this is the first time they're dealing with something like this. Are there any common mistakes that you have noticed, a trend maybe, that people listening online can learn from so they don't make that same mistake?
I think one of the biggest things that you can do really is try to, consider what is that process going to be like. You have to prepare yourself that, repairs and the damage, it is going to take a little bit of time to both attend to and fix. Right now, with so many people, still out of power, having damage to their homes, the insurance companies, the utility companies, they are overrun with requests. And so I think you have to understand that they're going to do their best to fix things and to attend to your issues. But keeping track of what's happening, when it's happened, and what you've done, if anything, to try to repair it or mitigate that risk is going to help you along the way, because that claim process may not begin immediately. It may begin in a few days or a few weeks, unfortunately. And that is something that you both mentally and physically have to prepare for.
Yes, that is why documentation is so important. So we've mainly been talking about homes. We want to bring in Brandy Smith now to talk about some businesses. Brandy, you have a viewer question?
Yeah, Xavier. So we've talked about homes and pipes bursting. Small businesses suffered a lot of damage too, but not necessarily just when we're talking about pipes or physical storm damage. My question is about business interruption coverage. So what about businesses who had to shut down for, say, Sunday through Thursday? Is that loss something that could be covered by insurance?
So for an actual business building, businesses may have mitigation policies. They may have, umbrella insurance that could potentially step in for something like that. But unfortunately, it's hard to really say individually, because it is going to be a very policy specific details. For very small businesses, maybe for those people who are running those businesses out of their homes or out of a small office environment due to this pandemic, they may not have the right policies, and they may not have the full coverage offered by larger business policies. So it does depend on the size of the business and the type of policy you have. The best thing you can do is speak to your insurance company, understand what coverage you have and how you can try to continue your business.
Wonderful, thank you. That question came from Joe, so hopefully that's an answer that can help him out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm going to stay there. Stephen, are there any other questions from the business standpoint that you've been getting more of throughout this week?
Well, certainly, and it extends to what's been going on for the last year with the quarantine and the pandemic. But with more and more people working from home, their homeowners insurance policies have in some ways extended into now a business policy, which they were never really intended to in the first place. For anybody who is taking clients into their home, again, you need to make sure that that home is safe to operate in, certainly through wintry and stormy weather. the liability and medical coverage that you may have through your policy may or may not be enough for that added foot traffic. Certainly when slips and falls could potentially happen.
Got it. All right. One last question. And, what about those people that just don't have insurance and they call you and say, I don't have insurance. What do I do? How are you answering those calls?
That's a really tough question. And that's a circumstance that, puts people in a big bind. I think, in your home, or if you're renting, and you don't have renter's insurance, or you don't have the proper coverage in this case, you unfortunately may be left holding the bag. I think that, in a lot of circumstances, looking for help from what coverage you may have and simply asking, am I covered here? How can this apply to other areas of my life? What can I do to get help if I don't have insurance? There, I think, are going to be circumstances where people are going to need help with food, water, heat. And I think going to, charitable organizations and other businesses who can offer assistance, that is going to be a necessity in probably a significant portion of the country.
Absolutely. And I know Mayor Turner, like after Hurricane Harvey, he was saying that people without insurance, they are going to get that assistance that is necessary, but obviously it's a fluid situation. We're still trying to figure out how that's going to work. Stephen Cates, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.